Give it up, come on. In the back.
There are many lost stories of rock and roll. Some become myths, some become exaggerated over time, and some get forgotten, relegated to a paragraph or two in a book or a blog. And some of them, had things gone differently, could have led to music that changed the course of history. This is one of those stories. This is the story of when Bob Marley and Prince met, and the duet that could have been. So, on the 26th of November 1979, Prince has a pivotal moment in his early career. It's his first professional performance to a paid audience outside of Minneapolis. His one-off performances the previous January at the Capri in Minneapolis have rightly gone down in history as his first professional shows, but they also didn't go very smoothly, leading to his record label Warner Brothers deciding that he wasn't yet ready to tour. It would be almost 11 months later that he'd finally start his first tour, in support of his self-titled second album, and the first stop was the Roxy in West Hollywood. But Prince's management situation at that time was quite precarious. You see, he had already fired his original manager Owen Husney, the man who'd gotten him his record deal in the first place, and he had yet to sign with Bob Cavallo, Joe Ruffalo and Steve Fagnoli, the team who would take him to his stratospheric success in the years to come. So for a brief but important period of time, Prince in 1979 was being managed by Don Taylor, who was Jimmy Cliff and Bob Marley's manager. It's fairly obvious in retrospect that this was never going to work, but during this time, Don Taylor was ready to pull out the old music business classic of masterminding a duet between his biggest star and his newest client. Now, that all sounds great in theory, but at this time, Prince was shifting towards his dirty mind phase, and his attitude towards stage clothing and attire could be described as less is more. He'd continue to roll with this attitude for a while, and begin to incorporate influences such as the androgyny and gender-bending styles of the New Romantics. Now, although Bob Marley is often and correctly hailed as a liberal icon, due to his iconic work and spirit of rebellion and revolution, when it came to his attitude towards sex and gender, his position was far more conservative. To this day, homosexuality in his home country of Jamaica is illegal, and certainly in the 1970s it was heavily looked down upon. Of course, Prince was not gay, but to some people, the effeminate look, skimpy clothing, and eyeliner style seemed to be much closer to gay culture than it was to stereotypical cliches of machismo and masculinity, and it is under these circumstances that the 34-year-old Marley met the 21-year-old Prince Rogers Nelson in what seems to have been a very awkward meeting. So, Don Taylor invites Marley to see Prince's first LA show at the Roxy in Hollywood. Gavin Edwards, in his 2006 book, Is Tiny Dancer Really Elton's Little John? Yeah, weird title. A book about music mysteries and rumors, he quotes Don Taylor as saying the following. When we called on Prince, he met us in this skimpy leopard G-string undergarment, which immediately aroused Bob's Jamaican macho feelings, and so our stay was as brief as Prince's G-string, and Bob's discomfort was shown all over his face. Taylor's own autobiography seems to quote Marley more directly, with Marley allegedly referring to Prince as a batty boy, Jamaican pejorative slang for homosexual, and that he wouldn't even want to sit in the same chair as him. Although it's hardly a stretch of the imagination to say that Bob Marley was homophobic given Jamaican culture at the time, to hear that these are allegedly his words is still quite jarring, and even more ridiculous considering the fact that Prince wasn't actually gay. Marley, of course, died in 1981, but one has to wonder what he might have made of 1980s fashion and music had he lived longer. Perhaps he might have realized that Prince's clothing choices, or lack thereof, were simply ahead of their time given the huge sea change that was about to come in large part due to the launch of MTV. Perhaps he would have even realized that Prince was about to become the most important musician of the decade and be the main person responsible for changing the entire sound of contemporary music. Prince, to his credit, didn't take the awkward meeting personally. Although he never specifically commented on it, he would regularly cover and jam on Bob Marley songs throughout his career, including Redemption Song, I Shot the Sheriff, Get Up, Stand Up, and Waiting in Vain. He even produced and sang vocals on a cover of Turn Your Lights Down Low for his keyboard player and backing vocalist Rosie Gaines of the New Power Generation during the recording sessions for his album Diamonds and Pearls. The song would end up being released on Rosie's album Closer Than Close in 1995. We can only imagine what the proposed collaboration might have sounded like, but we definitely recommend looking up the Rosie Gaines track to help spark your imagination. Perhaps some of you watching this might even have heard Prince cover Bob Marley in various concerts, or heard his cover of Waiting in Vain that was played at his final shows on piano and a microphone. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel. My name is Casey Rain. We are The Violet Reality, and we'll catch you next time.
Hi, I'm Elisa Fiorillo, and you're watching The Violet Reality on YouTube. All things Prince!